Good evening, viewers, and welcome. My name is Russell. I'm your script keeper and host this evening. Tonight, it is my pleasure to bring to you several spooky stories submitted by patrons all across Washoe County. We had more stories submitted than originally anticipated, so we've broken this program into 3 parts. Tonight's the first, tomorrow the second, and we will conclude on Halloween. I must warn you, these stories are only for the bravest of listeners. If you're feeling brave, why don't you join me by the fire? From bugs to zombies, creepy neighborhoods to the deep sea, we have a little of everything to send shivers down your spine and make your skin crawl. So without further ado, I present to you Shivery, Chilling Tales of Horror. Now our first tale is a creepy little number that warns you to heed warnings.
Zombie and Ghost Beach by Brooklyn, age 8. Once there lived 3 friends named Bob, Ann, and Lily, and they were walking down the beach. Everyone thought it was haunted. The friends did not. They saw a ghostly-looking girl. She said, "Be careful of the zombies," and they said, "No such thing." And they kept walking down the beach, and they saw a cave. And they went in, but they heard a scary whistle a little way down in the cave, and they ran to Lily's house. The next day they went back to the cave, and they heard a boo, and the friends ran away quickly. That night they went to the graveyard, and they saw the ghostly girl again. She said, "Zombies are coming now." And they got a little frightened, but they kept going to the graveyard. The ground shook, and hands started to pop out of the ground. Bob was crying, and then he got grabbed by one of the hands on his ankle. All of them pulled Bob, and they got him up, but he had a huge bite mark on his ankle. They all ran to Lily's house again, and the next day they went back to the cave. They agreed not to go to the graveyard again. They went far into the cave, but Lily said, "Who punched me?" And the others said, "We did not." And all the friends got freaked out. And the next day they saw the ghostly girl walk near Lily's house. She yelled one more time, "The zombies and ghosts are coming!" And the friends said, "Yeah, right." And they walked to the graveyard again. The ground shook. Then hands came up and pulled them under, and they were never seen again.
If only Bob, Ann, and Lily had been good listeners like you. Now this next tale is one you'll never forget. You're in for a real treat. Turn those listening ears on for A Halloween to Remember by Rob and Nate of Northwest Reno.
A Halloween to Remember by Rob and Nate of Northwest Reno. The 3 friends shivered under the flickering streetlight at the corner of Morning Glory Court and Dewdrop Lane on the coldest, darkest Halloween any of them could remember. For 4 years, since they were all in 1st grade, Scott, Samantha, and Clint had trick-or-treated together. "It's too cold. Let's go home," Clint, dressed as a battle robot, said. "Yeah, let's go get a hot chocolate," added Samantha, dressed as Butterfly Lady, her giant wings slapping in the wind. Scott, wearing the same ninja outfit as last year, sniffed, his nose starting to run. "One more," he said. "We don't need to," Clint, holding a full sack of candy, said. One thing about the miserable weather is it cut down on competition for candy, and with each successive house they hit, the handouts got bigger. "Yes, we do," Scott snapped at Clint. "What is with you?" Samantha asked. "You didn't even want to come tonight. You even skipped some of the houses. Now you won't stop?" "I think we should do it for Emma," Scott said, quietly. "This again," Clint sighed. "Look, there was no Emma." "Yeah, there was. I don't know why you don't remember. Last year, the 4 of us were standing right here at this spot when we decided to go to that house." And Scott pointed to the only house on Morning Glory Court. The children peered into the cul-de-sac, the odd house waiting in the deepening shadows, the wind skittering leaves across the street. A chill ran up all their spines, but not from the cold weather. "No way," Samantha said. They had never seen people who lived in that house. All they knew were the occupants never took down their Halloween decorations, and each year added a new one after the holiday. It was just a little beyond weird. "Well, I'm going," Scott said, and trudged up the sidewalk. Clint and Samantha shrugged and then followed. The house was a bizarre mix of scary and goofy decorations. There was a huge spider, the size of a car, perched on the garage. It had a smiley face for a head. Bats on strings hung from the roof gutters and a tree, and a scarecrow stood near the front yard, and the werewolf, vampire, and zombie figures were staged in various poses around the house. A little witch standing over a cauldron that emitted green light was the new addition. "Let's go home," Clint said, despite the distinct smell of candy in the air. Just as he said that, the front door creaked open, revealing a little old man in a suit. He called out to them, "Children, you're back!" Then he raised his arms wide and recited into the night, "Halloween is such delight. Halloween can be a fright. Halloween is so much more fun when the children become undone." Leaves swirled, witches cackled, zombies moaned, and the bats squeaked. The howling wind drowned out their screams as they saw the giant spider move, its smiley face wobbling as it scampered down its web. Then all the decorations were alive and coming for them. They didn't know where to run until they saw a little witch urging them to follow her into the backyard. So they followed her. "Quick," the witch hissed, "into that hole." And the three kids realized that the back of the house was a giant pine tree with a huge hole in it. "Remember, you are your costumes, but don't become your costumes." Samantha peered into the face of the witch, confused. "Get going," the witch said, turning off to fight a Frankenstein. The friends rushed into the hole. Immediately, the furious sound of wailing in the yard disappeared. "Who was that?" Samantha asked, her voice shaking. "You know," Scott said. "Emma. She saved us last year. She sacrificed herself when we didn't pass the test. She agreed to become a decoration if the old man let the three of us go. The old man told me if we passed the test this year, Emma could go home again. All the kids could go home." "And if we don't pass?" Samantha asked. "We become decorations," Scott said. "Scott, why?" Clint protested. "It doesn't matter now," Samantha said. "What do we do?" "We must face our greatest fear. Alone," Scott said. "Turn on your lights, robot," Scott said, and Clint realized his costume was no longer a costume. Light shot out of his eyes, letting them see that they faced 3 tunnels. They shook hands and each picked a tunnel and moved forward. Samantha's tunnel twisted and turned before it opened to a cavern in the middle of which hovered a cold darkness that withered her wings. "This isn't my greatest fear," she said, raising an echo that kept repeating, "My greatest fear, my greatest fear, my greatest fear," louder and louder. She screamed, "Stop!" But it wouldn't, and she tried to run away, but her tunnel was gone. The darkness was expanding. She looked for help and spotted a ninja trying to climb the wall and a battle robot firing missiles into the darkness. "Who are you?" she called. "Who are you?" the echo came. And the robot paused. Its head rotated to scan her, but then returned to launching missiles. The ninja didn't even look at her. "I'm Butterfly Lady," she told herself. "That's a ninja and a robot, but where's the witch who was with us?" "Us." And then Samantha understood. "This is our greatest fear," she said. "Our greatest fear is to lose friends," she said into the void. "But I remember you, Scott. I remember you, Clint. I can remember you, Emma." And then all 4 of them were on the front porch of the house, and the old man was filling their sacks with candy. All around them were dozens of other kids waiting their turn. And it wasn't so cold. At least not surrounded by friends on a Halloween that they'd never forget.
I'm lucky to have faced my fears years ago. Now I can laugh in the face of all scary things. Perhaps not all scary things. Spiders can still creep me out. And this next story perhaps will tell you why.
Spiders by Genevieve G. "Ah!" I hear my sister scream down the hall. "What?" I yell. "It's a spider!" she says in her 5-year-old voice. "Dad!" The tone I use implies no concern for the small creature. "Can you kill the spider?" "I'll be there in a second," he yells back up the stairs. "Help!" Finley, my sister, yells. "Chill, it's just a spider," I say. "Here I come," Dad exclaims. I know he's coming when I hear the squeaky creak of the 12th stair. I've memorized the many noises in our old house. "Got it," Dad says, and then puts it in Finley's trash can. The rest of the night was pretty normal, while Mom made dinner. Finley played with her dolls, and I did my homework and watched YouTube. Then, like always, we had a plain old family dinner. After that, Mom said we could watch the first Halloween movie of the year. To continue our tradition, we watched Nightmare Before Christmas. Don't worry. It's a Halloween movie, but with a Christmas name. Anyway, after that, we all went up to bed. And for some reason that night, I couldn't fall asleep. I had this hair-raising feeling in my gut, like something bad was going to happen, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. I'd done all my homework, brushed my teeth, everything I normally do, so what was it? Next thing I knew, it was the middle of the night in my room, and I was dreading getting out of bed to go pee. On the way back from the bathroom, I wanted to check Finley's room just to make sure everything was okay. But she wasn't there. Mom taught me not to panic, so I didn't. In my mind, I told myself to inhale and exhale, and I look around, but I don't see her. My eyes are starting to get teary, and then I hear the creak Creak! Someone's coming up the stairs, and I look back, and no one's there. So how was that noise made? And then I hear the noise again. And I look over the stairs, my legs shaking with fear, and all I see is a tiny shadow, and another, one after another. And I sprint into Finley's room, and I check the trash can, but there's no spider. The spiders fill up the room and start to crawl under me, lifting me off the ground, carrying me down the stairs, then outside, into the darkness.
Spiders and darkness, how spooky. Now there may be spiders here to scare me, but at least the lights haven't been cut. All this talk of darkness reminds me of a story that begins on a dark night.
Zombies by Dylan H. It was a dark and stormy night. I thought it was the perfect time to sneak outside the village to explore. Should I explore first? Maybe the pumpkin patch. Yeah, I'm doing that. Alright, this place looks creepy. Maybe this was not a good idea after all. I'm going back to the... What? The golem is alive? And is following me? I was not ready for this. I have to hurry back and tell the guards. I'm running as fast as I can towards the guard's house to find them outside, and arrows are flying past me, hitting the golem. And the guards took down the golem and told me no more exploring. But I sat in my dark room hearing the storm outside my window, and I knew there was no way I was going back to sleep. There was no way I was heading back towards the pumpkin patch, so I went the other way and ended up in the graveyard. Yeah, this place is creepy, but that's normal, right? I mean, a big space lined with graves where dead people sleep forever? I think I should have listened to the guards. The gravestones are shaking. Oh no, this is not good. What is going on tonight? Something has me. Zombies! Ouch! He bit my arm and now it feels like it's beating as hard as my heart. Wait, my heart. It was pounding. I was so scared, and now I don't know if the thunder is just that loud, but I can't feel the boom boom, boom boom in my chest. The zombies aren't trying to get me anymore. They're acting like they don't even notice me. And then all at once it hit me. I was running back towards the village. I'm hungry for brains. I charged back towards the village with only brains on my mind. As I broke down the door, one of the guards caught me and told the others. They thought he was going nuts because they hadn't seen a zombie in years, and left to go check around the rest of the village, laughing. Then something caught one of the guards' eyes. Me. I was surprised when I started feeling sharp stinging in my left arm, and then my right leg. All the guards were shooting arrows at me, and I dodged some of them, but I was suddenly stopped when one of them got me in the head. Boom, crack, boom. My head hurts so bad. Wait, where am I? I sat up and I realized I was on the floor next to my bed. The storm sounded angry outside my window, and I probably won't go back to sleep now. But going outside to explore might not be a good idea either.
Thank you, Dylan. That one certainly sent a shiver down my spine. Makes me glad to be so close to this fire. Really warms these frostbitten fingers. The dangers of outdoors, But not all scary things happen at night, as this next story will attest.
The Old Logger's House by Jay. Every day after school, I walk home and pass the old logger's house. Most of us kids believe it's haunted, and that's why no one has lived there in years. The house is shaped like a square, and has 4 square windows on the second story, and 2 on either side of a single front door. I'm not technically supposed to walk near this house because Mom says it's too deep in the forest and believes it's a hazard. I think the house is spooky too, but I love to walk through the woods. And today I take my time walking home. It's the beginning of fall, and the woods are changing into beautiful colors of orange, red, and yellow. I hear laughter up the path towards the old logger's house. Just as I'm rounding the corner, I see a little girl with pigtails, dressed in overalls. She's helping her dad unpack the car while her mom brings everything into the house. "Hello," I shout, and the girl turns in surprise and frantically waves back. I can't quite make out what she says to her mother, but the next thing I know, she's dropping her box and skipping over to me. "Hi, I'm Emmy." She extends her hand out for a handshake. I look at it because I think it's weird to shake hands as kids, but not wanting to be rude, I shake it. I'm Miranda. "Are you moving in?" I ask, glancing at the spooky house that can't possibly be livable. "Yeah, we just got here about an hour ago. My dad thinks we needed a fresh start, so here we are. How about you? Do you live close?" "I do." I point straight ahead to where the forest ends, just through the trees and down the street. Do you want to play sometime? Emmy asks. Yeah, and I walk by here every day after school. Now that you live here, my mom shouldn't have a problem with me coming this way. I just have to go ask her. I'm about to take off on a run when she suddenly tugs on my arm and quickly looks behind her towards her parents. Dad says no one can know we're here. I don't know why. He wants our life to be quiet without any nosy neighbors. Could you just play for a few minutes every day without telling your mom? I look at her, unsure of what to do. I want to play, and I don't want to make her sad or get her in trouble, so I agree. She gives me the biggest smile I've ever seen. "Okay, see you tomorrow then." And before I can say a word, she takes off on a run. Every day for the past 2 weeks, I have gone to Emmy's house and played. We built a tree house, played with her puppy, explored the woods. She secretly has this obsession with forest gnomes and believed they were the fairies of the forest. She showed me her favorite gnome figure. It really creeped me out. It just stood there, staring, watching. "I know I said I loved this gnome, but I want you to have it." She took my hand and placed the creepy gnome into it. "I'm really happy you're my friend. You're like my bestest friend ever." And she giggled and ran back to her house. As I enter my house, I notice my mom has her old yearbook out again. I try not to roll my eyes, because she always wants to show me how much we look alike. This is so not what I want to hear, especially since I have to hide this gnome because it's freaking me out. And after stuffing the gnome in one of my old shoe boxes, I decided to take a look at the yearbook I've practically memorized, and noticed a little girl smiling and standing next to my mom with the same pigtails and overalls. Tingles worked their way up my arm and neck. "Mom!" I scream, and I study this photo. "What is it, love?" She puts her drink down and sits on the couch next to me. "Who's this girl?" I point to the one on the page. She looks at the photo and studies it for a moment. She suddenly looks sad. "That's my old friend Em. She was my closest friend until she was tragically killed by a falling tree. We had this class photo taken the same day it happened. Terrible accident." Mom got up, patted my head, and left the room without another word. I'm in full-blown panic. No way this is real. And I race for the door and run straight to the old logger's house. No lights are on, no people around, no tire tracks from any recent vehicles. It's as if no one was there at all. Maybe I made up the entire thing. Maybe I'm asleep. Yeah, that must be it, I say as I head back to the house. I get ready for bed, feeling more tired than usual. And just as Mom is tucking me into bed, she steps on an object on the floor. "Miranda, you really need to pick up your toy," she hisses. How odd. I haven't seen one of these in years. Creepy little things. She places the gnome on my nightstand. "What's wrong, Miranda? It's like you've seen a ghost." All I can do is stare at the gnome.
Who would have known a figurine could be so creepy? Perhaps not as scary as how bad that pun was, Well, our final story of the evening comes from young Felix M., and though short, it really stings you with the horror.
The Wasp by Felix M., age 10. One night I was on a walk and my friend was with me. We were looking for fossils, and we found one of a very large wasp, and I dropped it, and it wasn't a fossil. My flashlight broke, and I heard a buzzing. It stung my friend and ate him. Then it flew away.
This story came with a creepy drawing that I'd like to share with you before we depart. I would not want to run into something like that. You all better get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow if I don't get eaten. Good night.